Qinfeng was a little confused when he heard this. What did this dragon do again? Qinfeng held his forehead. As a result, he saw Osirio stopped in front of him, with only a girl on his back. It was Gu Yishui, the white bird priest, Snowy Day. She was wearing a white priest robe, with a snow-white and slender owl on her shoulder. When Osirio landed, she reached out and touched its neck. So good. Then she jumped towards Qinfeng and ran over happily. Hello, boss? She greeted him obediently. Qinfeng was a little confused. Why are you the only one? In fact, Qinfeng's target, Unclean Head Touch of Pollution, was not in this canyon. It was at the end of the canyon, and he had to go further in. If you don't need to fly to this canyon, you can get in by taking a detour of more than 300 kilometers, but that would take too much time. So Qinfeng asked Osirio to pick up Anyu and the others. Originally, Osirio could handle 20 to 30 people at a time with just 10 flights, but this guy only brought one person down at a time. Gu Yishui shrugged embarrassedly. Others are embarrassed, but I am thick-skinned. Qinfeng was puzzled. What does this have to do with whether you are thick-skinned or not? Osirio laughed. I said, the one who wants to be your wife should go first? How about it? I successfully kidnapped a wife for you. In the future, human assassins. You must keep my affairs in mind. Qinfeng was dumbfounded. Get lost. He kicked Osirio away with one kick. Gu Yishui stretched happily beside Qinfeng. There are so few opportunities to be alone with the boss. Boss, you don't know. Zhenghai City without you is like the West without Jerusalem. Everyone misses you so much. Qinfeng smiled and shook his head. Is it so exaggerated? Gu Yishui smiled. Not at all. You don't know. Xiaohei talks about you every day, and Captain An always suffers from insomnia every night and misses you so much. Qinfeng smiled and asked, why didn't they come down just now? But you did. I said I'm thick-skinned, and more importantly, I know this is definitely not what you mean. Your dragon is self-willed. Whoever believes it is stupid. Qinfeng thought, it's still the familiar Gu Yishui. This girl has a cheerful personality, and it feels good to get along with her. Suddenly, the little phoenix on Qinfeng's shoulder said, what are you looking at? Qinfeng looked and found that the gray chicken was staring at the snow-white owl on Gu Yishui's shoulder. Unexpectedly, the owl talked back. The owl blinked and said, why are you looking at me? The gray chicken got angry. Oh, you're still a little girl. Do you believe I can catch you and make you scream? After the words fell, the gray chicken made a fake move to pounce on it. The owl was scared and flew away. As a result, the gray chicken was still standing on Qinfeng's shoulder, which made the owl feel relieved. So you can't fly. You scared the cat head to death. The gray chicken was not convinced, with its wings on its waist, looking up and staring. Why can't you fly? This is only temporary. Get down. Owl. I won't get down. I won't get down. Gray chicken. You can fly? Brother, I have more than 1,000 strengths, and I can catch you with one jump. Owl. Then jump? The cat head is not afraid of you. The gray chicken did not make a move, because it knew that although it had enough strength and speed, it was not flexible in the air, and it was impossible to catch the flying owl, so it chuckled. Brother won't argue with you, lest people say I bully children. Qinfeng was silent for a moment and looked at the owl. Can you talk? This is the third career advancement. Gu Yishui nodded. Yeah. She watched her owl bickering with the gray chicken and felt it was quite interesting. Qinfeng knew that although this owl could talk, it only had a relatively simple intelligence, which could not be compared with epic beings like Osirio and Gray Chicken. Although its intelligence level will increase with continued career advancement, the most important thing is that Osirio and Gray Chicken have many past memories, which cannot be obtained by companion pets such as owls. Not long after, Osirio continued to carry more players down to the bottom of the canyon. And you, Lin Liu, Wang Meng, and others, as well as Aowu and Yang Xiaoya were also brought down by Osirio. After everyone arrived, Qinfeng pointed in a direction. Go this way. There is a cave at the end, which is a good place to level up. By the way, the official can use the Book of Divine Revelation to build an elevator on this cliff. It is convenient for players to go up and down to level up, and you nodded and took note of this matter. Soon, Qinfeng took the gray chicken and moved forward first, clearing some small monsters along the way. The gray chicken jumped up and down on his shoulder and asked excitedly, Your Majesty, that cat head just now is so cute. Can I take it home to raise it? Osirio followed and was shocked. Newborn. You don't even let children go? The two of them started arguing again. Hanfeng was too lazy to pay attention to them. All the way to the end of the canyon, I saw a cave, and inside was the polluted river, the level 2530 leveling area, which is a disaster area with a life flow rate of 1,000 times. The monster refresh speed is relatively fast, which can meet the leveling needs of many high-level teams. Of course, for Qinfeng, this monster spawning speed is still too slow. Qinfeng can only run to different monster spawning areas to level up, and he wasted a lot of time on the road. Otherwise, his leveling speed would be many times faster than it is now. After all, the number of monsters is limited. Killing monsters 100 times faster than others does not mean that the leveling speed is also. It can be 100 times faster. You have entered the pollution river. This area is a disaster area. Life loss rate in the area, 1,000 times. Qinfeng entered the cave, and soon a terrifying underground river in the cave extended all the way to a deeper place. This is the Pollution River. It is surrounded by whispering energy. Sometimes, some monsters will climb out of the water and try to pull the leveling players into the water. Once they fall in, the whispering scale will stack very quickly. In particular, the deeper the water, the more concentrated the whispering energy. After you come in, you can just kill monsters on the riverbank. It's best for everyone to kill a little bit. Qinfeng privately chatted with An Yu. Keep killing monsters and wait for the boss to come out. An Yu quickly replied, okay. Do we need to prepare anything? Once the epic boss appears, we may affect you. Qinfeng smiled and said, it's okay. No need to prepare anything. The boss comes out and kills it in seconds. An Yu was confused. Just kill the boss in 1 second. Is this human language? An Yu couldn't help but smack her lips. Of course, she would not disbelieve Qinfeng's words. But the key is, she carefully studied the situation when Qinfeng killed the Great Disaster Hades. According to the observations of some people, the situation pieced together showed that the Great Disaster Hades was chased by Qinfeng all the way and was killed after a long time. How long has it been? Can the epic boss be killed in 1 second? Moreover, the superordinate affixes of the epic boss are more fierce and more powerful. The mechanism is also more complex and terrifying. Can this be killed in 1 second? An Yu looked bitter. Her team can now kill the Emerald Boss, and she thought she could get closer to Shadow with a set of skills that can deal 200,000 to 300,000 damage. The result! Now it seems that the gap between the two sides is getting bigger and bigger. What she didn't know was, let alone Qinfeng. Even the Ghost Spirit who has obtained the bloodline of the assassin has a burst damage of more than 1 million. Of course, this refers to boss below diamond. If it is a diamond boss, the boss defense and damage reduction will be higher, and the damage number will not be so good. If it is based on DPS, An Yu's current average DPS is between 30,000 and 40,000, while the average DPS of the Ghost Spirit has reached 120,000 to 140,000. Even the Ghost Spirit can't catch up with Qinfeng, not to mention others. Very soon, An Yu and more than 200 people, according to Qinfeng's arrangement, came to the depths of the polluted river, under the flow rate of 1,000 times the lifespan. Some of them did not bring enough lifespan, so Qinfeng traded some to them. After all, they came in a hurry and it was normal not to bring enough lifespan. Qinfeng also generously said that there was no need to return it. Anyway, it was not much, and it only added up to a few years of lifespan. People rushed to help in a hurry, and Qinfeng could not give them nothing. In addition, Qinfeng would also give some diamond level equipment and skill books dropped by the boss later. At this time, more than 200 people formed a group to kill small monsters, and under Qinfeng's instruction, they always paid attention to stay away from the riverside of the polluted river. After more than 3 hours, from the underground river, bursts of whispers from the ancient gods suddenly came out and spread throughout the entire underground river area on the spot. Finally, it was killed. Onfeng narrowed his eyes when the whispering energy surrounded them. Everyone around them began to stack up their whispering scale. An Yu, Lin Liu, Gu Yisha, Awu. The whispering scale above everyone's head actually increased by 10% per second. 3% speed, rapidly rising. The superposition speed of this whisper gauge shocked all of them. At this speed, they would be dead in half a minute. This is not a matter of dying once. Once you fall into the whisper state and lose your mind, the consequences will be too serious. The tragedy caused by the team of Ichiro Toshima in Sakura Country is still vivid in their minds. However, at this time, it is definitely too late for them to escape. With their speed, they can't escape the range of whispering before the whisper gauge is stacked to 100%. Just when everyone's ears were surrounded by the terrifying whispers of the ancient god, making them uneasy and trance. One by one, the black and sticky tentacles suddenly stretched out from the polluted river. Here it comes. At the moment when everyone was shocked, Qinfeng held the blade of judgment and the blade of killing star in his hands, and shot instantly. On the bank of this underground polluted river, more than 200 people were shrouded in the whispers of the ancient gods. They all widened their eyes nervously. As the whisper scale increased, they soon became a little less awake, and even various irregular halos appeared in front of their eyes. Just at this time, they witnessed with their own eyes that thick black tentacles stretched out from the polluted river. Each black tentacle was as thick as a large beer barrel, surrounded by various irregular ancient patterns. This scene frightened everyone in the field and they all stepped back. In the crowd, An Yu gritted her teeth, holding the emerald level longsword and slashed 3 swords in 1 second with lightning speed. Boom! Her normal attack triggered the dragon flame, and a flame sprayed out from the longsword and fell on the black tentacle. 2W. Without weak point damage, she could only deal 12,000 damage. And this damage, for the epic and terrifying boss in front of him? Unclean Head, Touch of Pollution. It is completely a drop in the bucket. Not even a skin of blood. This level 30 epic boss has a total of 330 million HP. My 3 swords only hit less than 8,000, which means that I need at least 15,000 swords to kill it. A desperate feeling of powerlessness emerged in An Yu's heart. She did a random calculation. Even if the boss does not have a bloodlock mechanism, with so much HP, it would take 500 or 600 of her to kill the boss within half a minute. What's more, How could an epic boss have no mechanism after feeling the boss's toughness a little? And you felt a sense of fear. After all, she is currently the player with the highest output in Zhonghai City. No one else. Even she feels so powerless. If such an epic boss appears in the ruins of Zhonghai City, how will their official respond? So, we can only rely on Shadow? An Yu was a little bitter. Just when she thought of this, she looked up and found that the health bar of the boss was deducted by more than half. In an instant, its health became 157 million, 3 million. And Yu and the people around were stunned. Just at this moment, the epic boss was killed by more than half of its health bar, and suddenly let out a terrifying roar, as if it came from the endless ancient time and space, which made people tremble. Then, everyone saw that behind the boss's health bar, a blue shield bar suddenly soared, and even gained hundreds of layers of damage-free shields per second. The mechanism of this epic boss is infinite shield recovery. As long as the output is not enough, and the number of attacks is not enough, it will never be possible to empty its shield. But as long as the shield is emptied, then it will be possible to smoothly enter the second stage. Under normal circumstances, even Qin Feng needs the help of his teammates to break the more than 100 layers of shields per second. But now, Qin Feng didn't care about these shields at all. He just held the Judgment Blade and slashed it casually. The order from the shield disintegration took effect, and all the shields of the boss were instantly cleared. Whether it was the blue shield bar or the shield of damage immunity, they were all invalidated. So, in the eyes of An Yu and others, the behavior of the boss became particularly funny. When it first appeared, it was majestic and extremely terrifying. As a result, suddenly, when most of its blood was knocked off in an instant, all the tentacles in the field stopped in midair, as if they were completely stunned. Then the shield on the body was cleared after only half a second. Then those tentacles were like being electrocuted, and tried to shrink back to the polluted river at a speed faster than lightning. Unfortunately, before it could completely retract, the health bar on its head was completely emptied in one wave. Qin Feng killed it instantly. With the help of the Gift of Liberation and the Scarlet Blade, it directly exploded nearly 200 million damage, emptied its last health value, and even failed to trigger the invincible stage when its last third of blood was reduced. Player Shadow Daxia killed the epic boss Unclean Head, Touch of Pollution, and gained 100 reputation points. In total, it took no more than 3 seconds, and an extremely terrifying epic boss died in front of everyone. Or, people didn't even see the full appearance of this boss clearly before they died. They didn't even have time to escape. Fuck! It's Shadow. It's faster to kill an epic boss than I kill a small monster. 2 knives. Is this 2 slashes? What kind of damage is this? The mumbling scale that was stacking above the heads of the people in the field stopped abruptly. Now they finally understood what it's okay to kill in seconds meant, although they had been mentally prepared. When they saw this scene with their own eyes, they all felt incredible and their scalps tingled, especially at the beginning. An Yu also attacked the boss with several swords. They knew how fierce An Yu's output was, as the only hidden profession, the Dragon Swordsman. If the output is stable, the damage per second is already more than 10 or 20 times that of ordinary players. A burst of go, and even knock off half of the blood of the gold level boss. As a result, even though An Yu was so fierce, he attacked the epic tentacle monster without even losing blood. And when Shadow attacked, the scene made people think they were dreaming. The epic octopus appeared. The epic octopus ran away. The epic octopus was dead? This was probably the only thought that flashed through everyone's mind in those few seconds just now. Absurd. But it really happened in front of them. Oh my god, I was just curious about Shadow's DPS. As a result, what DPS do people still care about? In Shadow's dictionary, there is no DPS, only instant kill. When the boss died, the ancient god's whispers surrounding the field disappeared. In fact, the boss's attack also came with the corruption affix, but unfortunately, there was no chance to attack at all, and he was scared to death and then was killed instantly. From beginning to end, he couldn't say a word. When he ran away, he made a few abba abba sounds, and then he was completely silent. Qin Feng's figure reappeared in front of everyone. Then he asked the little phoenix on his shoulder to take action. Gray Chicken, pull up the boss body. Otherwise, everything that the greedy hand touched will fall into the river. Qin Feng patted the wings of the Gray Chicken. The Gray Chicken was a little reluctant. What? I'm so small. How can I pull such a big octopus? Qin Feng, didn't you say that you have more than 1,000 strength? It's easy to pull an octopus, hurry up. You see the cat's head is still watching. The Gray Chicken looked back. Gu Yishao and the slender white owl on his shoulder both widened their eyes, and seemed to be completely shocked by Qin Feng's output. I'll go now. The Gray Chicken was excited all of a sudden, and ran away very fast. It ran to the river, rolled up its feathers, and grabbed a tentacle with its little claws. I thought that with its strength of more than 1,000, it would be enough to drag this thing out. But after a while, this guy used all his strength, but he only moved the giant octopus's body a few times, and couldn't pull it up at all. Your mother? This thing is too heavy. The Gray Chicken broke down and cried. Qin Feng couldn't help laughing when he saw this. This giant octopus must weigh more than 100 tons, even if it has more than 1,000 points of strength. It is only at more than 100 times that of an ordinary person. How can it possibly pull more than 100 tons of things? After all, the octopus corpse that everyone saw now is only a very small part of it. The real unclean head, touch of pollution, is as big as a hill. In the end, Xinfeng still asked everyone around to work together. It took more than 10 minutes to pull the epic octopus corpse up from the polluted river. Looking at the giant octopus corpse like a hill in the cave, everyone was excited. Epic boss. When the system prompt came out in their minds, they realized that every time the epic boss was killed, there would be a global announcement, although their names were not in the announcement. But after all, they were also participants, and they could brag for a long time. It was at this time, the blonde beauty Stina, who was busy collecting protection fees from Qinfeng in the Los Angeles ruins in North America, also heard the system prompt and was completely dumbfounded. It turns out that it's not just the first time. Every time an epic boss is killed, there will be a global announcement. This made Stina laugh and cry. If she had known this earlier, wouldn't she have been tricked by the shadow? But the current situation? It's okay. The most important thing is that Stina has truly become the most important figure in the Los Angeles ruins through this wave, and the authority she has stood at the top of Los Angeles. Xinfeng, on his side, is preparing for the happy greedy hand. Boss, we're leaving first? Otherwise, it's too disgusting to be sticky all over. Black Plum Big Plum even cried out, "Woo woo woo." Why am I black all over again? It turned out that they helped hold the octopus corpse, and in the process of dragging the octopus up, they were covered with ink from the octopus. The group of people looked like miners walking out of a coal mine. Very funny. However, it can be seen that everyone worked very hard in the process of helping to drag the corpses, especially the beautiful little leader of the Dragon Roar Guild, Awu, and Yang Xiaoya and others. Excuse me. Please leave first. After all, this place has 1,000 times the life flow rate, so Qinfeng naturally has no need to keep them. After the work is done, let them go first. Finally, everyone left quickly. Only Yu walked at the end and ran to Qinfeng before leaving. Master, can you tell me how many independent damage multiplication zones you have? This girl is a violent maniac. Naturally, she is very interested in aspects related to combat. Now she finally couldn't help it and asked the question she had been curious about for a long time. Qinfeng smiled. There's nothing to hide? Professional damage increase. Weakness damage increase. Back attack damage increase. Nightmare affix damage increase. Additional lightning element damage increase. Generally these are it. And you nodded, thought about it, and suddenly asked a question a little depressed. No. Where is the back of this octopus? Can it be hit by a back attack? Xinfeng, I don't know where its back is. Anyway, I will hit it by a back attack. And Yu was confused. Is there such a thing? She thought to herself. It should be the effect of professional advancement, right? Then she looked at the hill-like octopus corpse and saw that the head of such a large octopus corpse did not account for a large proportion, which made her even more depressed, and asked, Master, how did you get the weakness damage increase? When we fought before, the octopus's head was in the polluted river. Right. Can it hit the weakness? This question was easier for Qinfeng to answer. He nodded and said, stack the weakness hit correction. Stack this attribute higher, and the monster will have weaknesses all over its body. And Yu was even more confused when she heard this. She said with some embarrassment, but this attribute can't be stacked high, right? And if you want to stack this attribute, you will inevitably sacrifice some other attributes, which may lead to a reduced damage. In many cases, as long as you operate well, you can hit the weakness 100%, sacrificing other attributes to stack weakness hit correction. Isn't it inappropriate? Qinfeng smiled when he heard this, patted Yu on the shoulder. You can find it from the skills, not from the equipment, so that you won't sacrifice other attributes. And you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You said it lightly. Now! Any passive skill outside is sold at a sky-high price. Even I can't afford so much. And there is one thing Yu didn't say. This tentacle on the shore can hit the weakness of the octopus head in the polluted river. How many weakness hit corrections must be stacked? Is this an attribute that a person can accumulate? And Yu is the most finally decided to refuse to discuss attributes with Shadow in the future, because she found out. An attribute that is very common to Shadow, for normal players like them, no matter how much effort they put in. They can't stack it up. When Yu left at last, she felt frustrated, because she had a feeling. Discussing damage attributes with Shadow. It's like discussing which hoe is better with an ancient emperor. It's okay if you don't think about it. Once you have this idea, and Yu feels more and more like it. However, after discussing these with Qinfeng, and Yu also came to a conclusion that skills are the most important. In the future, she will focus on passive skills. Even if it is a sky-high passive skill, she must buy it, because this is a permanent enhancement of attributes and combat power. When everyone left, Xinfeng stayed, throwing a greedy hand at the giant octopus corpse. You get 750 years of life tradable X6. Melem. You get 600 evolution points X. 6 additional rewards were successfully triggered. Qinfeng was quite satisfied. This boss provided him with 4,200 evolution points, which could directly evolve the Abyss Slow Curse, and then take out an Abyss skill from the vase. Qinfeng was not in a hurry. He first checked the other loot that the octopus exploded in, and found that he was lucky. There was actually a legendary assassin skill book and a good legendary assassin ring. Legendary things can be saved. When the time comes, I will synthesize mythical ones and see if I'm lucky. Qinfeng is still looking forward to this. Although legendary loot can no longer be converted through the Bafiki's equivalent exchange agreement, but Qinfeng's 10-in-1 ability is obtained from the mythical Hand of Greed skill, so it is completely possible to synthesize 10 legendary things into one mythical one. It's just that there is no guarantee that the loot is usable by assassins. And the mythical equipment, there is a small probability of the appearance of divine weapons. Once obtained, it will be the biggest improvement in combat power. Qinfeng first looked at the assassin's ring in the greedy space. 3-phase ring legend. Assassin ring. Strength plus 128. Agility plus 28. Spirit plus 128. Equipment requirements. Level 29. Special. Stripping plus 29. 5. Unique special effect. 3-phase balance. The lower two attributes of strength. Agility. And spirit will copy the highest attribute. This ring not only comes with Qinfeng's favorite stripping affix, it also comes with a super unique special effect. 3-phase balance. With this ring, the strength, agility, and spirit attributes will be completely equal and are equivalent to the highest one. Originally, Qinfeng's agility was the highest, even more than 500 higher than strength and more than 300 higher than spirit. If I put on this ring, it would be equivalent to giving me more than 500 strength and more than 300 spirit. It is indeed a legendary equipment. Qinfeng then looked at the legendary assassin skill book. This legendary assassin skill book is a bleeding skill. Although Qinfeng had not learned the bleeding skill before, there is one among the skills swallowed by the Soul Devourer, so he just needs to take it out. Endless Blood legendary. Assassin skill book. The duration of the bleeding state you apply is increased by 200%, and the bleeding frequency is increased by 100%. Required level 30. The bleeding state is a continuous damage state like poisoning and burning. This legendary skill can triple the duration of the bleeding state, and the bleeding frequency is increased by 100%. In other words, the original damage per second is now twice. Directly increase the total damage of the bleeding state by 6 times. For players who play bleeding, this skill is absolutely a magical skill. Of course, if it is simply combined with instant destruction, this skill is not too strong, because the core of the bleeding school is not only to deal damage with the bleeding state, but also to benefit from the independent damage multiplication area under the bleeding state. In this way, the damage can be maximized. If the bleeding damage is exploded with instant annihilation, the damage will not be increased, and the effect will be discounted. Qinfeng currently has no bleeding skills, nor bleeding damage increase, but as long as the skills are evolved, even if you just use a bleeding skill, just with the damage of instant annihilation, it is extremely terrifying. Qinfeng thought about it and evolved it once. You have consumed 100 evolution points, and there are 4382 points left. Endless Blood legendary, arrive mythic. The duration of the bleeding state you apply is increased by 200%, arrive 300%, and the bleeding frequency is increased by 100%, required level 30. Mythic new effect. The bleeding state damage you apply is increased by 100%. Qinfeng was a little puzzled. I wanted to try evolving it to see if I could get an independent damage increasing attribute of increasing damage to bleeding enemies, but I didn't expect that the damage was increased, but only the bleeding damage was increased. But in this way, my bleeding damage is already maxed out. The bleeding frequency is doubled, and the bleeding damage is doubled, which is equivalent to 4 times the damage, counting the tripled duration. The total damage is 16 times. If I use instant kill to explode, I can make my instant burst increase again. The finishing move instant kill can instantly settle all continuous damage. If the target has multiple continuous damages, they will be settled together and added to the same damage, as long as the damage is high enough. The effect of skipping the Bloodlock stage can also be achieved, so Qinfeng picked it up from the skills swallowed by the Soul Devourer. He chose a skill that was initially Emerald level and evolved to Legendary level. Ruthless Cut Emerald Arrive Legend. Assassin skill. Cut the target at close range, adding 1500 arrives 100 physical attack power. After hitting, it causes bleeding effect, causing 40% of the direct damage of the skill per second, lasting 8 seconds. Cooldown 18 arrive 81, 71 seconds. Required level 24. New legendary effect. For each target that you apply bleeding to, your total damage value increases by 10%, up to 30%. There are several skills that can add bleeding status among the skills swallowed by Qinfeng's Soul Devourer, but he finally chose this one. It is because the legendary special effect of this skill is an independent damage multiplication area. Although it only increases the damage to a single unit by 10%, and at most 30%. It is much more useful than the legendary effects of other skills. With this special effect, the total damage will also increase by 10% when the instant destruction settles the target. After Qinfeng brought up this skill, he calculated the damage if the weak point attack multiplier is increased to 5. The X after the Thousand Blade Smash hits the target. The basic direct damage of this skill is 14. 381 million. Its basic bleeding damage is this damage multiplied by 320%, which is 46. 019 million. With the bleeding skill of Endless Blood and after it is evolved to the mythical level, the total bleeding damage is 16 times the original, which is 736 million. Of course, this damage does not take into account the target's physical defense and damage reduction. Qin Feng has the additional effect of Grace Liberation, which can ignore the target's defense. But if the opponent is an epic boss, according to the general template attributes of the epic boss, the damage reduction is between 90% to 95%. That is, the actual damage is only 1/10 or even 1/20th of the theoretical damage. If the basic damage is 736 million, the actual damage will only be between 36 million and 74 million. Of course, if the continuous damage is detonated with instant kill, the damage will double. It's a pity that the bleeding damage can't benefit from the active throat-cutting effect of the Gift of Liberation. Otherwise, it will explode. However, even so, I only need to put one more Ruthless Cut skill before the instant kill is settled, and the total damage of my final instant kill can be increased by about 100 million, easily increase the damage of a small target. Originally, Qin Feng's instant kill settlement damage to the epic boss was basically between 150 million and 250 million. Now it can reach 250 million to 400 million. The specific amount depends on the target's damage reduction attribute. It's still a short distance from being able to kill the epic boss in one set. Qin Feng thought about it. Now, when facing most epic bosses, he can almost kill 60%, 80% of their health in one move. With a little more damage, he can easily kill them in one move. Even for a boss like the epic giant octopus in front of him, which has a total of 3 stages, Qin Feng can even repair the health first. And when the health is only about 70%, he can make a killing move. He can also skip all the bloodlock stages of the opponent. It's a pity that the epic stone man in the center of the Zhanghai ruins has a stage for every 20% of blood, and its damage reduction is too high. Otherwise, I can kill him in one move now. Qin Feng felt a little sorry. Then it was time to happily pick up the Vase. Qin Feng first evolved the Abyss Slow Curse that had evolved once before, consuming 3200 evolution points, and evolved it twice from the legendary level to the ancient level. As expected, like the Abyss Withering Curse, its ancient level added effect is to cancel the negative effect of getting closer to the abyss. Let Qin Feng continue to touch the vase without worrying about being sucked into the abyss. Come on. Qin Feng took out the Abyss Curse vase, reaching out. You stare into the abyss. Touch the abyss. You have obtained the skill Abyss Silence Curse Epic. Qin Feng heard the system prompt and cursed in disappointment. This is an epic group silence curse, and the effect is still very good. But the key is that it is regarded as a control effect. At this stage, Qin Feng's opponents are at least epic. Except for a few bosses like the Great Disaster Hades, all others have the inviolable affix, and it is almost impossible to silence the boss. What's more, Qin Feng can kill the boss in 2 sets, so what's the point of silencing if it can really be silenced? The direct Abyss Withering Curse can also disable the target's 3 highest level skills, and the effect is not much different. It seems that I can only look forward to the next time. I hope to get the Abyss Voodoo Doll or the Abyss Potential Curse like the Ghost Spirit soon. For Qin Feng, even getting an Abyss Puppet Curse would be good. He can die once in the game, and then make the corpse into a puppet. At that time, the leveling efficiency can be doubled directly, although Qin Feng's dead body will automatically explode. He can swallow it with the Soul Devourer first, and then release it later. Perfect. However, there is one thing that needs to be noted about this method. If it is an epic level Abyss Puppet Curse, then the puppet created cannot have abilities that exceed the epic level. For example, Qin Feng has all mythical and ancient level skills. Then the epic level puppet cannot inherit these skills. This is the limitation of this skill. Therefore, even if others have this skill, such as Huang Ziqing before, they cannot actually create a puppet skill as strong as themselves. But Qin Feng can evolve this skill. As long as this skill is evolved to the ancient level, the puppet created can inherit all the abilities of Qin Feng that do not exceed the ancient level. And the abilities that Qin Feng currently has that exceed these 2 levels are one talent and the other is the Judgment Blade in his hand. Both of them are original primary, higher than the immortal level that is higher than the ancient level. This cannot be copied by puppets. If I have a puppet, I can put it in one place to spawn monsters. Not only can it allow me to gain experience anytime and anywhere, it can also give me nightmare resistance anytime and anywhere. So, Qin Feng is still looking forward to this skill. After digesting the spoils of the epic giant octopus, Qin Feng took out the teleportation stone and teleported back to the Pure Soul Land. Because he just took out a skill from the Soul Devourer bloodline. Qin Feng's attributes have slightly decreased, but when he returned to the Pure Soul Land, he swallowed 5 assassin output skills again, and evolved them all to the legendary level, consuming a total of more than 800 evolution points. Qin Feng's evolution points were used up again. However, the benefit brought to him by this action is that for every point of strength attribute, the converted physical attack power increases by 10 points. This is equivalent to Qin Feng's direct increase of 15,000 physical attack power. Attack power. If others see Qin Feng's current attribute panel, they will probably be scared to faint. The physical attack power that Qin Feng just increased is already more than 10 times that of an average player. This is why Qin Feng chose the Soul Devourer bloodline in the first place. This bloodline combined with his skill evolution talent, is like stepping on the left foot and going straight to the sky. Next, I have to consider getting a second bloodline. Qinfeng must get the bloodline of the Deathwing Angel. The key is to get the Deathwing Feather. This depends on Ichiro Tashima from the Sakura country to give Qinfeng benefits. It would be too troublesome to actively create a tragedy that killed 100,000 people, Qinfeng thought. After all, most people are now in the game. It's not that easy to kill so many people in a small area in reality, and it's even more difficult to concentrate people in one place. And the incident in the Sakura country was related to a strange statue. Under a series of operations, more than 100,000 lives in the Sakura country were harvested in an instant. As for how the statue came to the reality of Sakura country, it was related to the spread of desolation. After the spread of desolation began, some cracks would appear randomly in the game and in reality. Players cannot enter those cracks, but monsters can enter them from the game to reality, or from reality to the game. It is equivalent to, those cracks are the login device of the monsters in the God-abandoned game. According to rumors, the epic statue monster entered the reality with the help of Ichiro Tashima, but Ichiro Tashima denied it afterwards, indicating that it was some players who framed and persecuted him. Even Qinfeng didn't know the specific situation. But after the spread of desolation, Qinfeng must go to the ruins of Kyoto and Sakura country. After all, in addition to the statue appearing in the ruins of Kyoto, the headquarters of the Key Guild is also in the ruins of Kyoto. Qinfeng can observe the recent actions of the Key Guild. See if he can find out the location of the NPC Qinfeng wants to find. The old scourge Snake Fang that Qinfeng placed in the Evil Spirit Academy is still there. If the properties of this thing can be made effective, combined with Qinfeng's abnormally high resistance to higher level affixes, it will be the real upper level affix nemesis. We still have to wait for the spread of the wasteland before we start to act. There should be 1 or 2 days. Qinfeng was not in a hurry. He first found a place to start killing monsters and quietly accumulated evolution points. Soon, 2 days passed. During this period, Qinfeng brushed a lot of experience and accumulated more than 800 evolution points. Diamond level bosses began to appear in various parts of Daxia. In just 2 days, Qinfeng helped kill a total of 6 diamond level bosses in various parts of Daxia. It can be said that he can fly all over the country. Qinfeng has no use for these evolution points for the time being. He planned to save 8,900 points first, and then evolve the Robbery Master again. Qinfeng would help only with diamond level bosses. As for epic level bosses, no one had found them in the past 2 days. As for emerald level bosses, there were not many of them, with the batch of diamond level equipment provided by Qinfeng. The overall strength of Daxia officials increased greatly, and they even specially formed several stripping teams, which could fly all over the country like Qinfeng, to help deal with emerald level bosses everywhere. In fact, the diamond level equipment given by Qinfeng had a relatively high level of requirements, but fortunately, the Daxia Guild invited the NPC, One-Armed Dwarf Big Hammer, to the ruins of the Magic City, which could reduce the level requirements of the equipment, although the equipment attributes would also decrease accordingly. But after all, they all came with a lot of higher level affixes. These higher level affixes greatly saved the time of Daxia officials in opening up the emerald level bosses. Originally, this stage was the most difficult stage of opening up the land, because only emerald level equipment skills will have a small probability of being accompanied by higher level affixes, and most emerald level bosses already have the ability of higher level affixes. So when it comes to opening up the wasteland at the beginning, multiple player teams are needed to take turns to finally kill the emerald level boss. Once there is any mistake in the middle, or a misjudgment of the boss skills, it is likely to lead to extremely serious consequences. If it is just death, it is okay. The key is the 3 affixes of Whisper, Nightmare, and Chaos. Once they are fully stacked, the consequences will be very serious. But now, the official Daxia has emerald and diamond level equipment in advance. Opening up emerald level boss again is equivalent to graduating from Karajan to fight Karajan. Although the difficulty is not low, with the help of the specially formed stripping team, safety is greatly guaranteed. At present, although the officials of other countries are also opening up emerald level bosses, they are all wearing platinum equipment to open up the wasteland. Occasionally, a very small number of players can obtain emerald or even diamond equipment from treasure chests in the wild, but the number is very small and cannot form a scale at all. In contrast, with Qinfeng's strategic support, the Daxia officials saved at least half a year to a year of development cycle, and this is also the most critical development cycle. Once the emerald boss can be killed stably, it means that there is a relatively stable source of upper-level affix equipment, forming a virtuous circle. At the same time, in addition to the emerald boss being opened up all over the country, the Daxia High Level is also dealing with an extremely terrifying news. That news came from Qinfeng, regarding the spread of wasteland. Qinfeng has told his Daxia officials some basic things. The reason used is the Grey Chicken inheritance memory. For this reason, the entire Daxia official has been preparing intensively. All over Daxia, a notice was received. All guilds were forced to extract their hideouts to reality, and they could even receive a lifespan subsidy for extracting their hideouts. All players were forced to enter the hideouts that had been extracted to reality, because in the information provided by Qinfeng, Once the desolation spreads, the sun and the moon disappear, and the entire blue star enters a dark place. Although it still maintains a suitable living environment for humans, it will also be connected to the game world. Through some cracks that appear on the godforsaken game continent, monsters can directly land on the blue star reality. At that time, if there are no players staying in the hideout, it will be quite dangerous. But in just 2 days, even the execution power of Daxia officials is not enough to complete the arrangement of so many players. What's more, many players resisted during the execution process. They are unwilling to leave their own homes, especially some elderly people, who are very stubborn and stay in their own homes, unwilling to go to the hideouts arranged for them. In fact, in terms of the number of hideouts, although it is a bit crowded, it is definitely enough to accommodate everyone. But some people are reluctant to cooperate. Qinfeng had no way to intervene in this matter. He just told the Daxia officials what he knew, and the Daxia officials obviously attached great importance to the information he provided and immediately launched an action. As for those who did not listen to the advice, there was really nothing they could do. When the desolation really spreads, half of the area will become unsuitable for survival. The turbulent area 10 times the life flow rate in reality will be connected to the turbulent area in the game, and stronger monsters will emerge. The violent area 100 times the life flow rate in reality will be connected to the violent area in the game, and stronger monsters will appear. Although these monsters have come to reality, they also have strict restrictions on their action areas. Monsters moving in the turbulent area can go to the violent area, but cannot go to the gentle area with normal flow rate. That is, they can go to the high multiple life flow rate area, but cannot go to the low multiple life flow rate area. It can be seen from this, the gentle area in reality is the safest, because the monsters you will encounter are all monsters that can only appear in mild areas in the godforsaken game. For example, if the Great Disaster Hades comes to reality, he can only move into the violent area with a life flow rate of 100 times, and he cannot leave no matter what. Games are games. Reality is reality. The rules are different. Even in reality, there will be no experience reward for killing monsters, but life will still drop normally. In addition, some treasures will be bred in the turbulent and violent areas in reality. For example, Magic Circle, Foundation Stone, and so on. The diamond level Magic Circle Foundation Stone that Qinfeng bought from Brother Qi is at least a real area with a life flow rate of 10,000 times, which has a relatively high probability of being bred. It is a commodity brought from other worlds because it is given the commodity attribute. It is different from Old Calamity Snakefang and will not be restricted by different worlds' servers. Props such as Magic Circle Foundation Stone can only be purchased from NPCs in the game. The actual production sites are all in various real worlds. It is precisely because of the particularity of the spread of Wasteland. That is why the population of the entire Blue Star has been greatly reduced again. However, there are really not many places where more than 100,000 people died directly in a small area. It is mainly the range provided by the Eye of Knowledge, which is almost only 2 or 3 football fields, unless there are specific conditions. It is really impossible for so many people to gather together and die. So the statue incident in Sakura Country that Qinfeng is looking forward to is the key opportunity for the appearance of the Temple of Faith of the Goddess of Death after the statue came to reality. Its worship can permanently improve attributes as bait to attract batches of Sakura Country players to go there one after another, and then they were instantly killed. At this time, the closer the time is, the more nervous Daxia is. In particular, Qinfeng has already notified more than 13,000 players of the Skydome Guild in advance, and brought their families to the east coast of the Magic City where he is. Thousands of people came to the beach in large numbers, and some even stayed there for several hours. When the desolation spread, land in reality became very scarce and even more dangerous. It is very likely that you will find yourself surrounded by monsters as soon as you log off. Other guilds have their own hideouts, and the Skydome Guild has only a few gold level hideouts at most, which are used to store goods and cannot accommodate so many members, so Qinfeng must extract the Evil Spirit Academy to reality to protect it. Protect the Skydome Guild. By the way, let the Skydome Guild become the outer defense personnel of Qinfeng's real hometown. After the hiding place is extracted to reality, a small amount of life can be consumed to move the location. You can extract it first. At this time, even Qinfeng logged off from the game, remained invisible, and walked out of the Pure Soul Land. Osiris flew in the sky invisibly and saw tens of thousands of people gathered densely a few kilometers away. Qinfeng first moved the Pure Soul Land hiding place to a deeper underground for more than 30 meters. Then he will consume more than 1,000 years of life to extract the Evil Spirit Academy to reality. Once upon a time, Qinfeng had to rely on official transactions to obtain life to extract the Pure Soul Land. But now, the life required to extract the Evil Spirit Academy is just half a day's income from the Los Angeles Chicken for him. And because the level of the defensive barrier of the Evil Spirit Academy has been upgraded, the life consumed by the extraction is also more. But the impact is not great. Soon, just above Qinfeng's Soul Purification Land, a hideout of the Evil Spirit Academy covering nearly 1,000 acres was directly created. The library, teaching building, and other buildings were slowly built. And finally, a layer of emerald-level defensive barrier was formed. This defensive barrier has higher durability, higher defense, and additional damage reduction. Plus the existence of the life source array, even the nuclear egg can't break this defensive barrier. Of course, by now, the modern large-scale weapons such as nuclear eggs in the world have basically been corrupted and can't be used, even if there are some that can be used. They are all small weapons, and their power is not as good as a fireball from a mage. When on the coast, the familiar Evil Spirit Academy hideout rose from the beach. The players of the Skydome Guild who were arranged a few kilometers away cheered. Old Zhang, Zhang Jinshun, and other managers of the Skydome Guild were all a little excited. Zhang Jinshun smiled and raised her arm, sending a voice message to the communication crystal ring on her arm. Don't worry, the hiding place is still being extracted. Shadow God said that the hiding place should be extracted first, and if the location is not suitable after the wasteland spreads, we can move it to another place. In fact, Qinfeng can basically confirm that there is no problem with this place. But you can't say it too firmly. By now, many people in Daxia know the term spreading wasteland, but they don't know the specific situation. They only know that the authorities want everyone to enter the hiding place and not leave for the time being. And this news has also spread abroad, and people all over the world know it. For example, North America. They have no idea what happened. What wasteland spread? Why did Daxia force all the people to enter the hiding place? When Daxia issued such an order, the whole country fell into chaos. Whether it is North America, Western countries, Tianzhu, Sakura, Dahenetsi, without knowing the truth, it is not convenient for the authorities to issue a mandatory order. Only some players who knew the news and were more sensitive to danger returned to their respective hiding places. Yinfeng had expected this, but he didn't care. It was impossible to prepare the Daxia officials and prevent the news from being leaked. For Qinfeng, if more people from other countries can survive this wave, it means that Qinfeng will have more leaks in the future, which is not a bad thing. In any case, the value created by the living is always greater than the value provided by the dead. What's more, if others die at the hands of monsters, it will not benefit Qinfeng at all. Soon, the hideout of the Evil Spirit Academy was extracted. In terms of the ground area alone, the size of the Evil Spirit Academy is about the same as that of a university, as long as all the buildings are built later. It will be no problem to accommodate tens of thousands of people, but it will be a little crowded. But Qinfeng can also expand the defense range of the barrier through the Book of Divine Grant defense barrier and then expand the actual range of the hideout. Of course, this lifespan has to be paid by Old Zhang himself. Anyway, Qinfeng had enough of the 3 underground floors of the Evil Spirit Academy. Moreover, the original deepest underground magma church had no magma around it, so Qinfeng directly used it to connect with the Pure Soul Land. From the original magma church, you can enter the Pure Soul Land. That is Qinfeng's real hiding place, and the hiding place is naturally known only to Qinfeng and the ghost. At the same time, Old Zhang and Zhang Jingxun and other guild managers began to arrange guild members to enter the Evil Spirit Academy in an orderly manner. In the crowd, there was a girl with a round body. Shockingly, it was Jia Xiaomei, who had a hidden profession called fortune teller. Qin Xiaoyu's best friend Chu Yin had helped Jia Xiaomei's grandparents before. So Jia Xiaomei deliberately went to Zhanghai City to meet Chu Yin and help to tell Qinfeng's location. At this time, when Jia Xiaomei first came to the beach, she had a strange feeling. When the hideout of the Evil Spirit Academy was built, Jia Xiaomei's heartbeat became faster. I told Chu Yin's best friend's brother about this location. At that time, this place was deserted, and I said her brother must have been killed and thrown into the sea. As a result, Shadow seemed to have been living here all the time. This situation made Jia Xiaomei, codenamed Sunny and Cheerful Big Girl, take a deep breath. She immediately raised her hand and sent a message to the Chu Yan, marked on the communication crystal ring, Chu Yan Chu Yan. You never expected that I would come to the place I mentioned before? Shadow found his hiding place here. Fuck. Could Shadow be your best friend's brother? At this moment, Chu Yan, a short-haired girl who has been in the Mengsha River Guild in Zhanghai City and doing charity work when she is free, is busy mobilizing an old couple to go to the hiding place. No matter what she said, the other party seemed not to listen, and it was not easy to force the other party to leave her home, which made her anxious. Suddenly, Chuyan received a private message from a friend. It was the sunny and cheerful girl, that is, Jia Xiaomei. A long time ago, Jia Xiaomei joined the Skydome Guild and invited Chu Yan to go there, but Chu Yan declined. After all, she felt good in the Mengsha River Guild. The people here are kind and speak nicely. Could it be that Shadow is the brother of your best friend? At this time, Chu Yan received a private message from Jia Xiaomei, and she couldn't help but feel helpless. She sighed and replied, "They are just retrieving their hiding place there. They may not live there forever, right? Besides, even if they are, it has nothing to do with us. Xiaoyu has already severed ties with her brother, and I have asked her to find him several times. But she was unmoved every time and blamed me for meddling. So forget it." Chu Yan said so. But she was still a little confused. Shadow is Qin Xiaoyu's brother, Qinfeng. She had met Qinfeng twice. Although she had only met him twice, she could feel that Qinfeng was really good to Qin Xiaoyu and cared about her in every way. But Qin Xiaoyu was the only one who didn't know how to appreciate the blessing she had. But Chuyan actually didn't understand why the other party would so simply sever ties with Qin Xiaoyu and disappear so completely. If Qinfeng is Shadow, then he can make Xiaoyu live a good life with just a few words, so the possibility is too small. Chuyan sighed. After she finished saying this, she turned back to the other girl. The other girl was trying to persuade the old couple. Girl. So this situation is called a desolation spreading. We can only be safe if we all go into the hideout. Old man. Desolation selling salt? Who is Desolation? Girl. Uncle. Spreading is not selling salt. Old man. Selling cigarettes. Oh. I don't smoke anymore. I've quit. No more. Thank you. Little girl. Girl helpless. Uncle. You are quite polite. Chuyan helpless. The east coast of Magic City. Jia Xiaomei sighed after getting Chuyan's reply. She looked at the giant bonesword pterosaur in the sky of the Evil Spirit Academy on the coast in front of her, and then looked at the shadow standing on the pterosaur, feeling unreal. This world's #1 terrorist assassin was right in front of her. Forget it. Chuyan said it doesn't matter. And I don't need to join in the fun? Jia Xiaomei didn't think too much. This girl is optimistic and cheerful. In this era of the godforsaken game, being able to join the Skydome Guild is something that makes her feel extremely lucky. She is very satisfied and doesn't bother to care about other people's affairs. What's more, she is just a friend's girlfriend. She doesn't even know Qin Xiaoyu, let alone think so much. Qinfeng is riding Osiris in the sky on the east coast, observing the surrounding situation. If I remember correctly, with my 2 hiding places as the center, the surrounding area of more than 50 kilometers will remain in a mild area in the next 9 years. There will be no acceleration of life passing. In addition, 50 kilometers away from the sea surface, there is a large violent area. It is very likely that many underwater monsters will land in reality through the cracks. Qinfeng looked at the sea with a calm expression. Monsters in the violent area cannot come to the mild area, so there is no need to worry about the situation there. So overall, this place is already the best place to survive after the spread of Wasteland. In the 9th year of the previous life, this place had formed a brand new city, called the New Magic City, because the guilds and hideouts within the Magic City were basically moved here. Just then, Qinfeng received a private message from Wanye Weiyu. Master, I heard that you extracted the hideout of the Evil Spirit Academy on the East Coast. Do you mind if we become neighbors? Qinfeng was a little confused. He thought about it and replied, neighbors certainly don't mind, but I just extracted it first. If the situation is not right after the wasteland spread, I have to change places. Wanye Weiyu trusted Qinfeng very much. It's okay. I believe you. After a while, Qinfeng saw Wanye Weiyu and another group of official players appear in his field of vision. Discuss with Qinfeng about the scope of the hideout first. After ensuring Qinfeng's consent, Wanye Weiyu called the president of the Dasha Navy Guild to move the platinum level hiding place Misery Prison 5 kilometers away from the Evil Spirit Academy. As for the guild members, they will come and move in later. Seeing the situation, Qinfeng smiled and shook his head, and ignored it. Anyway, it doesn't hurt him. However, this time Qinfeng exposed his position in reality, which may bring some danger. But Qinfeng doesn't care. At this stage, weapons of mass destruction in reality are completely dead. There is no need to worry about being bombed, even if someone comes. It is just a delivery for the current Sky Guild. After all, Qinfeng's diamond equipment is not only sold to the official, he also sold some of the diamond equipment that the official didn't take to the Sky Guild. If we really calculate according to the strength of the guild, the overall strength of the Sky Guild is definitely the top 3 in the world. Even if there are guilds that are stronger than the Sky, only a few top official guilds in Daxia have a chance. Then, Qinfeng saw that on the distant sea, there seemed to be some warships heading towards the sea area. Because the distance was far, Qinfeng couldn't see clearly. If his attributes were not high enough, he couldn't even see the shadow of the warships. After all, it was dozens of kilometers away. Wanye Weiyu also explained that those warships came here to protect this coast under the order of the Daxia Navy. Qinfeng naturally had no objection to this. Although the heavy firepower on those warships is now ineffective, they can also be used as outposts on the sea. Once there is any movement overseas, they can be prepared in advance. Qinfeng was in the sky, quietly watching the people of the Sky Guild and their families move into the Evil Spirit Academy. After estimating the required area, he discussed it with Old Zheng and Zhang Jingshuan, with more than 800 years of life from them. The defensive barrier of the Evil Spirit Academy was expanded by 200 meters. In this way, as long as some 3-story houses were built with the Book of Divine Revelation, it would be enough for all the people of the Skydome Guild to live in. As for the construction work, it was naturally done by the Skydome Guild itself, like Jia Xiaomei, as a fortune teller. Her frontal combat ability was not that strong, and she was usually responsible for the construction of the guild's building. For her, it was just like playing survival construction games in the past. Under the guidance of some professional designers, the houses built were not only convenient to live in, but also beautiful in appearance. Qinfeng didn't care about these things. After the Evil Spirit Academy was extracted, Qinfeng returned to the Pure Soul Land in stealth and ate something. Before going online, Qinfeng came to the ghost room and opened the door to take a look. It's okay. Nothing happened. He saw Guiling wearing black leather armor, sitting obediently on a chair, her body translucent. Knowing that this girl seemed to be exploring some ruins, Qinfeng went to see her when he came out to eat, lest anyone would know if she got into trouble. Of course. In fact, There are now 20 mechanical maids in the Pure Soul Land. If Guilin gets into trouble, the mechanical maid will inform Qinfeng immediately, so there is no need to worry about missing anything. It was not long after Qinfeng returned to his room and went online again. The first desolation spread, which caused a sharp drop of 1/3 of the global population, finally began.